And I'm going through the records, and I discovered that this troop and I were born on the same day, same month, same year. So I think maybe it's, it was meant to be, right? Kismet or something like that. So there I was, holding on to all those records for a very long time with the help of a bunch of other people maintaining them. And I tell you, you can't do that without a lot of people helping. So I can just go so far back. So I'd like to ask 4 people to come up. Vicki Elliott, Judy Jacobs, Diana Transu, and Audrey Jones. Would you come up, please? So, as a token of appreciation for giving me your time and supporting the troop and many years of service, as but at that time it was troop treasurer and keeper of records. So, Vicki, this one is yours. I'd like to stay up here. And so we started to see with one lonely person to do it, and then she handed off to these ladies. Suckered in. Right? So the legacy goes on. So I want to thank you all for the treasure and record skills. I think that you're doing. Thank you very much. So the troop grew. The program grew. She got overwhelmed. Yeah, we gave the piece of the treasure out. We had something called a rating chart and had other records. Yeah, you did, right? So we had to split her job. This is fantastic. It had to be split up into other people's jobs. So we did a little disperse. So there was the treasures. Now, for troop records, I would ask the following people to come up to receive their legacy award. And that would be David Murray, Dana Spees, Michael Salwasser, Barbara Luder. Barbara, you changed. All I can say is thank you, folks. You are holding the tradition that Vicki started, and I know the people before her started. You are now, Mike has the reins on a lot of the records, as Dana. It takes a lot of people to keep these records straight, that you were talking about earlier, Richard. So thank you to the 5 of you very much. Cannot talk about records without talking about advancement records. And I have been, Bill, we have been very lucky not to have a large turnover. Yes. Wow. Wow. Right? Yes. So we've had 3 advancement chairmen that set a new standard of excellence for how to keep these records straight. I mean, the amount of stuff that goes into advancement chairman, it's got to be one of the hardest jobs. There are 3 officers of this company: the Scoutmaster, committee chairman, and the advancement chairman. Steve McDonald, we suckered him into that, I guess, right? We asked him to volunteer. He held on it for a long time.
We told him that Bill Black would train.
Right. Right. Which may or may not have happened. So we had Bill Black. You remember? Some of you might remember Bill Black. Went over to Mr. McDonald, and then I think after 10 years, Steve decided he had enough, and he and we talked to Dick Kyle, and after some arm bending, I think he got trained. So Dick Kyle, would you come up here for just a minute? Okay. sentences, you hardly seem enough, the years and hours that you have to put into this job, but I know they and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm going to use your band line.
Which one?
If they laugh, it's mine. If they hate it, it's yours. If you take a look at the back of the book, the black and white one, the program, you'll see the Scoutmasters are on the back. We had, an interesting debate over the cell phones about where we should put this list. The back is, on most publications, the most expensive advertising page, the front cover, of course, on any magazine, because when you go ultrasound and put the back, a magazine down, face down, the back is looking right at you all the time. And so we thought, okay, this is a good place for the Scoutmasters, that there's going to be a scene list. You will review it, I'm sure. And then that's when Nick said, well, comment 101, we could always say that behind every good Eagle Scout are the Scoutmasters. Maybe. So, this is. Anyway. I told Nick I'd pick on tonight. In any case, we have some legacy Scoutmasters here. Now, I'm sorry to say that some are not here because they just couldn't be. I heard you know, I walk around the room a lot tonight. I'm really sorry I couldn't spend a lot of time with every one of you, but I want to spend some time with every one of you. And I heard Mr. Chapman's name mentioned a couple of times. And that was very nice. He was certainly a very fine Scoutmaster. Fortunately, we still have some Scoutmasters here that can tell great stories. So, in honor of the ones that are here this evening, and there are plenty of others floating around, you see the list. I'd like to ask the following three gentlemen to come up: Dan Barackman, William Ullman, and Stan Evans.
While we're having this Kodak moment, there's one thing I forgot to mention. When we had 25 years, I stepped back into being Scoutmaster in September of 1980. And we went down to San Diego because there was an elderly gentleman who was the first Scoutmaster of 212. And he was willing to come to our Saturday night campfire. And at that time, we had every Scoutmaster that was still alive. Every one of them was at that Saturday night Scoutmaster. Mr. Piero was there. Mr. Piero was my next door to the neighbor. He was behind me. Sergeant Piero made Sergeant Bilko look sick.
One thing I'd like to say from Sergeant Piero, the traditions, most of the traditions, black and white, checkered scarves, just a ton of those traditions came from Mr. Piero. He was one super Scoutmaster. Thank you.
A lot of things in scouting stay the same, but social things change. We introduced women scoutmasters, assistant scoutmasters as a matter of course. It seemed the natural thing to do. But at the time, as you recall, it was breaking new areas for the men, from tribal conflicts and different things and old traditions and stuff like that. And when you find what the role of assistant scoutmaster was, John holds the record for having the longest holding the position of scoutmaster with Crew 212.
While we're on the topic of holding Scoutmaster the longest, wait, I just couldn't wait. This was going to be at the end, but you brought the Scoutmasters up, so. John has been planning this 50th since he joined Troop 212. Hands down. Portrayed in the 5,700 slides, pictures that most of them personally took on all the trips, and attitude towards scouting, the amount of trips and events that we've all seen him on, all of them. And of course, heading up the committee for the past 2 years, specifically the plan the banquet committee. So he didn't know about this, but he gets his plaque also. That doubles as thank you for being Scoutmaster for how long, Bill? What are we at now?
9.
9 years? And also, just a little thank you. For spearheading the 50th. And helping other people.
I have to tell you a funny thing about the assistant scoutmasters. When the first mom came through the door and said, I want to be in uniform, I want to be assistant scoutmaster, and I know what it's like to be, and sort of thing. A couple of the guys had said to the guys, scoutmasters, had made some comment about women in scouting, and that's not right. And I said, well, don't you dare make her feel bad about that. We will welcome her and treat her the same way that we have with any other assistant scoutmaster who walks through the door and says, I want to go on camping trips. And I said, in fact, we're not going to do what you think a mom would have to do, and that is be relegated to the kitchen. We're still doing the cooking like we always did. If anything, she's not relegated to the kitchen, to the mom role, but just the opposite. So, yeah, right. So she wasn't in the kitchen. And, 4 or 5 months gone by, and I don't have a word for this lady, but this story just happens to come up, that she pulls me aside and she says to me, it might surprise you to know that I love cooking. And I want to be allowed in the kitchen. So you can't always call them right, but you try to at least call them from your heart. By the way, that person was a We have a lot of memorabilia here and a lot of slides, and we had some help from some outside sources. Obviously, I can't make ready some slides, but the pictures also came before my time, for I guess maybe 10 years before when I started the records. So I'd like to say thank you for his participation in making the slides happen and helping stand evidence. Prior to my pictures, yours were up there, so congratulations. So we have one other person I'd like to give a certificate of appreciation for legacy for all these things that are being kept so well on the council level, and that would be Paul Muehlbach. Legacy is a short word, but we got a lot doing, don't we? Okay, so, to be fair, there's another position in this organization that is critical, probably the least appreciated out of all of them, and that would be committee chairman. Because this is the fellow that really, when the scoutmaster needs someone to talk to, this is the person that he goes to. If he's in trouble and he needs some help, it's the committee chairman that has to rally the adults behind him to help him out. This has been a great legacy. A lot of people have been able to do that. And I would like to ask the following people to come up. Marty Shapiro. Hey. Okay. Again, get them drinking and they'll tell you about it. Okay. Kind of jump around a little bit, but I would like to ask Sheila Canal. I'd also like to share this legacy opportunity with Pat Gallagher. Our current committee chairman is holding has the torch now, and that is Bruce Davis. Now, and one other. This particular gentleman, we define the role of gentleman. When he told the truth that he had cancer, he showed a level of something that you can't do with a straight face all the time. And it's starting to happen. So, I'm not going to fanfare too much of it, but I asked his family to come by and receive it, because this gentleman was a great committee chairman as well, and it's a fine thing. It's really a shame that it got shortened out. The legacy holds. And I'd like to ask Josh Weekly to get this for his dad and his week. Now, despite what Nick would have you believe about who was in charge of this thing, and we'll get to that in a minute. We had a couple of folks that showed some real stick-to-itiveness on this committee, so I would like to thank them. I'd like to ask the following three folks to come up. It would be Louis Hutton, Sarah Van Solingen, and Yvette Acosta. Would you please come up and every week, everyone, the best we could. These really great folks that we bounced by this. Now, these were not the only people in the community. So let me ask you guys right there. In the theme of the eagle and logo and the flag, waving flag, I'd also like to thank three people that really were part of this community as well, that have put in a whole lot of work. Not these three didn't either, but really, you got some that just keep on going and going and going, and amaze me with their energy. And I really want to say special thanks to them. Like, for instance, this transfer. Can you come over and see? Comes to the committee and he says, gee, why do you want to show slides? Let's put them on CDs, digitize them, and let's get these big screens. I love people that have better ideas than I do. Yeah. So, always hire people smarter than you, make you look good. And so, and then he says, well, I said, that's 55,000 slides, 6,000 slides. Oh, yeah, I can do that. And then, of course, he picks up and says, well, let's do the certificates, and let's do this program. And so, again, the amount of energy that this gentleman invested in this gathering is incredible. Of similar energy, different subject matter, I had asked this lady, she would be the committee chair, and actually she was. I had my moments of guiding the group, but it kept me somewhat honest, and also took on a lot of roles, of which you're seeing happen tonight. High energy lady, I would like to ask Arlene Funk. Yeah. about to
Scoutmasters
say.
duct tape.
Oh, good.
Ooh.
Two balls per buck.
There's a pitch, huh? The lady who, essentially I asked to take charge of the picnic tomorrow is also a high energy woman and has done all kinds of stuff for this picnic tomorrow. I think you'd be really pleased with what you see. And Darlene is essentially her co-chair. And to be fair, everyone on this floor has done a piece of what makes this 50th celebration work. But this particular lady is going to be the one you see really taking charge of tomorrow's events. And I would like to ask this high energy lady, Sheila Kinnan, to come on. Now, she's going to say she was in charge. She's going to say she was in charge. And he's going to say I was in charge. And that's why I say